I make now a video in German language about the New World Order plan to create such a bank card that you not can touch money, and everything will be on microchip on a bank card. And this system, what they want to create it, science fiction money on bank card against God's law. And this New World Order system against God's law, and I want to talk about this. And who not believe it, he can read the Bible, what I told is written. And I wrote many books against this New World Order system, what they all deleted. So it's mean that they hate God, and they hate God's law, and they hate freedom. Because this New World Order system against freedom, and who against freedom and human rights is a evildoer and not can belong to God. I was never happy in the Europa Union. I was always a slave, and no human right is here. And therefore I judge all this system, and I have a right to judge them. Because when a diploma teacher just must suffer, not can work, not can earn money, and not have human right just because I wrote about God of Israel and his law, then this system is big Babylon who hate God. I began there that my grandfather was a German, and my grandmother also was a German Jew, and my grandfather was a very intelligent man. He read and wrote many books, and he have the original, the first book about Karl Marx. Because just the original, the first book in real German language is the best one. The another one, they manipulated and deleted lot of things, or manipulated, and therefore I not read on internet books, or I not buy the second one, because the first book what Karl Marx read in original German language is the original, and this is the true. And this what Karl Marx wrote is not against God, it's the law. Karl Marx was a really Jew, and Karl Marx's father was a lawyer, jurist in German language. Jurist is a bigger one as a lawyer. And Karl Marx was working as a journalist by the newspaper in Germany in that time. And it was happened for 200 years ago. And Karl Marx wrote about human rights, because the law is about human rights. God gave the law that every people have a human right. And Karl Marx was say, when they slavered the poor worker, then this is against God's law, and this is not human right, that everybody work without free day, non-stop, children, everybody. And he wrote many description in newspaper about human right. He want to help the poor worker as Moses do in Egypt. Therefore, this system want to kill Karl Marx. They deleted always his description about the newspaper. He have a judgment court, and he must emigrated out from Germany just because he want to have the poor worker with the law, with the human right law. He emigrated at first time to French, and then he also tried to wrote about human law, that every people have the same right. And then he emigrated to England, and Engels, his friend from Germany, always sent little bit money that Karl Marx not die. So I wrote all description what they wrote in that time in original German language. And this is not against God's law. This is the real law where every worker have the same right what God give. And because Lenin in Russia was read Karl Marx books, he must also emigrated out from Russia. So the Russia system was never belonged to Karl Marx. The Russia system was a very high Stalinismus dictator because from my mother, the another family was Hungarian, and in Hungarian I have many friends, and in Hungarian these people was told me that when Stalin come in Hungarian, Stalin was a very evil dictator who steal every horses to the army in that time. He not pay the people for horses, and who not give Stalin the horses, he shot. He shot and he killed the people. He steal the house, not just horses for the army. He steal the house, the land where the people live, and when they not give it to Stalin, he shot people and killed the people. This is against what Karl Marx and God of Israel wrote. So why they always tell evil she thinks that the Stalinismus is the real communismus what Karl Marx wrote is not true, is not true. Stalin was an evil dictator who want to rule everything and who not give the state his house or horse or money. Stalin killed it. And Karl Marx never wrote in My Capital or in his books that the state must steal the poor worker house or such thing. And how begin the law in the Ten Commandments that never steals somebody's house, and you cannot be jealousy that another have something, a house or a land. You can never steal it. It's forbidden. This is the law. And then I read many books because I study history. My grandfather told me many things, and then I read the Bible, and I wrote also many books that this system is a evil Nazi regime who not belong to God of Israel, who not belong to the law. This is a real Stalinism system, what they build now. And this is not democratic when people haven't human right, just must suffer and work and not can make own fabric, own ideas. Just the people must do what the state want, the New World Order state. And Rothschild against God's law, because it's written who make bank tax and steal with bank tax another's house and land will die, and it's written in book of Ezekiel. And every prophet, even Muhammad, forbid to make bank tax and steal with bank tax everybody house and land. And I begin now here that Big Babylon is now the New World Order system, even when they not believe it. But this system against God, and they are satanistic and break every law what is written. USA and England, before the Second World War begin, what I told now is history, not just my grandfather was told me. You can also watch Benjamin Harrison Friedman interview. What I told is history and fact and not a fantasy. Rothschild bankers and USA, this call in German language the Alliierten, make a plan to control every country and they market businesses and money. So they pay Hitler to make a big war, and they commanded from USA that in Germany, before the Second World War was begin, that no Jew can make business, they must close their own shop. He boycotts the really Jews in Germany that they not can earn money, and after that they boycott also the German people businesses. They make against Germany a very big boycott that they not can make own businesses just when they pay and worship America and England businesses. So it was begin the Second World War. My grandfather was told me in Germany they not can sell the people their own things in shops. They was hunger and suffer. The German people also, and the really Jews also, who was really holy Jews and not satanistic gods, they was really holy Jews, as my grandfather and my family. America and England, Rothschild, this satanistic elite forbid to sold holy people in their own country, their own market things. Therefore, a lot of suffering was, and then they bombed all the German people. And after the Second World War, so they not just killed Jews, they bombed all the German people with Jews, they killed everyone. And after the Second World War, America come here, and now all these things here are belong to America. Big Babylon. They want to control all the market. They want to control all the business, Börse, shop, what is Börse? It's a bank business, and they control it. The enemy is not I am and God of Israel. The real enemy is America, who slavered all the countries and who killed all the holy people and not allowed to make their own business and own shop. And the big plan is that they not allow the people make business with real money. They want that everybody have just a card, a bank card, and then they will control this bank card, and everybody will be a slave with the bank card as in a prison. Because this is a prison when somebody lost his money. In no generation in history was such thing that people not can make businesses on the market, they own things, they not can sell it, and people lost their money and just have a bank card, what Rothschild and Wall Street can control it. This is a slavery system. And Karl Marx was know these things. Karl Marx was wrote in the first book in the Capital that the elite, the bourgeoisie, want to create such evil system. They want to make a card, and then they wrote on the card a little bit money, just a little bit, and then people will be work for this card, for not for money, for a card, and then they go in the bourgeoisie shop, and the bank, this card is a bank card, and then they pay with this card, and they become just a little bit money to can work tomorrow also, that they not die, but they not become rich. So, and this is not freedom. Then a 10% elite Rothschild Nazis control their money and their bank card. This is not freedom. Why is this so? That the social people and the poor people who have 300 or 400 euro here, the government can control their bank card and their money. And is fact what I told now in Germany, when they know that you earn more money, then they not pay you social money and you can die. They control the poorest people. They control the poorest people. But Rothschild and all these fucking goats, they sit on milliard and $billion and nobody control them. The richest one can kill, sacrifice children because God of Israel is not blind, and slavered all the nation and the people with this fucking bank card, and they can still make wars, and everybody who not worship this new world order system, they send from America bombs, and they boycott about oil business, and this system against God's law. And what I told, when everybody just think a little bit and read the Bible, and when the rabbis belong to God of Israel, to Allah, to Abraham's father, because Abraham's father sent me. And what I told is written by all the prophets. And who hate me is Satan and the Nazi goat. And I wrote about this, I wrote about the judgment. And when they hate me and hate me for God and God's law, for Allah, they hate their own father. And when people lost their money, their freedom, this system will be wronger as every system before. They will be slaves. They will belong to Rothschild as a poor slaves. And created science fiction money about bank card. And then when somebody think, they block it, they freeze the bank card, and then these people, just because maybe he think or wrote books, these people can die in the wood as I am, because they make it. I wrote many books about God and his law and his third temple plan, and I judged the Rothschild family about a child and sacrification and bank tax and all these things what God forbid. And then they freeze my bank card and send me 7 years letters that they want to kill me about God, and no help was come. Here in Europa is no law, and there is no law, there is no God, just Satan. And this system is big Babylon. There is no law, no lawyer, and no right. This system not belong to God. Where every people hate God's pride just because I wrote about God's law and God's third temple. This system belong to this fucking Moshe, this goat's Moshe. A goat Moshe sit on God's throne where was the law. And they think that they are holy. Thinking is good thinking, but thinking fantasy shit that God is a goat, or God is a Baal, a Zeus Baal, or something else. This is the real fantasy. They Hellenistic shit what they make in Vatican and everywhere. God forbid by every prophet. And God is not a god or an animal or a Hellenistic Baal. God is holy and wonderful, and I have the right to judge the evildoer, because it's the law himself commanded. The law himself commanded that when somebody make evil things, you must judge them. And I just judge the murderers and the evildoers who break the law. I was never judge poor people or holy Jews or holy Christianity or holy Arabic people. I judge the evildoer who make wars against the holy people, because America with Rothschild kill every holy Jew and holy German people and Jehovah's in Europa. This is written by the Bible, that big Babylon will kill every holy people in 3.5 years in Holocaust. And America with Rothschild make it. Therefore is this big Babylon. And they make all the wars against every kingdom on earth. And it's fulfilled now for their own eyes what I wrote. And for God, is this not religious behavior? Worship gods and evil Gentiles as satanistic people for money. This is not wisdom and is not religion. God's wisdom is the law, and I was never wrote against the real money. I was just wrote against this Rothschild bank system with bank tax, because it's forbidden to steal with bank tax another's house and money, and it's also forbidden to create a science fiction money and that the people not can make on market their own business because they want to make such system. And when people lost their money, they lost their freedom, then they are slaves, as in Moses' time, in Egypt time, the poor people who just can work and become a little bit food, and this is big Babylon. And God showed me the third temple. Who not want to buy it, not belong to God, and not be resurrected. What I told and wrote was from God and is written by all the prophets. And who against me, against God? It's easy. I never was judge a holy person. I look for holy persons. But Satan sent just the Sodoma boys, 20 years, and murderers and evildoers who make me shit with lies and who not give me human right as a teacher. I can speak and wrote in 3 languages, and I read more than 10,000 books. And no lawyer helped me because they all afraid about this regime. Then what's this for a regime when more than 10 billion lawyer not can help one holy woman just because I wrote about God? This regime is not powerful, is very weak and mental sick. In God's kingdom, no prophet will be afraid to help one woman with the law. Because this is weakness. Think I kill some teacher just because the teacher wrote about God's law, and then no lawyer can help with the law. This is a mental sick system, and it's not belong to God. Yes, I was learned in the university, therefore, that I have freedom and can earn money, and I was not learned there that they hit me just because I read books and wrote about God's third temple, and this suffering never end. They just watch my life more than 20 years and hit me without human right. This big Babylon system will be violated. They will violate. America will rule on the end time every water, and the water what you see are nations, and they will rule it with many projects, with bank tax projects, with bank cards, and with harp and mind control projects, with transformation of America. This is big Babylon, who sit on all the waters and nations on the end time. It's written before they build it, but then on the end time God will return and destroy this, because it's not belong to God. It's not belong to God and not belong to God's law and freedom. The real freedom, the real democracy is when every people have the same right, every people can make their own business, as Rothschild also make, and when they have own money and own houses and own lands. But when just 10% elite slavery all the people without money, without freedom, without thinking, this is not freedom and not democracy. This is dictator, and God hates it. And yes, the storms and the floods will not stop, because it's written when I go to Jerusalem, I bring the first stone there to buy the third temple for God of Israel. And when they not listen, then I begin with floods everywhere. It's written by Josiah also, and everywhere. Is this written by Matthew 24 is also written in the New Testament, but is written by the Old Testament. And this behavior that they hate God and not want to help with God's law, a holy woman who wrote about God's third temple and just make me shit for God. This is a satanistic Babylon regime called Jezebel, because Jezebel was commanded everybody who worship God and God's law must be killed. Jezebel was commanded, and then Jezebel make about God's holy temple a Baal temple, a Baphomet temple, and say this Bahamut god is now a god, and make their Baal, a goat's Baal as Bahamut. And this system is Yazabah system. There is no God, there is no temple for the real God, just Bahamut temples and Zeus temples and such fucking shit Baal temples. This is a Yazabah Big Babylon system. Where is no law, this is a Yazabah system. So, and everybody can know description because now you can read the Bible in every language. What I told is written. And when Rothschild and the bankers hate me, it's not my problem. They hate God. Maybe their father is a goat to the end, but my father is not a goat who sent me. And when a man think that his father is a stinky goat, an animal, that the biggest psychology doctor not can help to go out about this evil fantasy shit, when evil men's, mental sick men's think that their father, their creator is a animal, a goat, or a Baal, or a Zeus, or I don't know what they think. This is a fantasy. The demon exist, is real, because Enoch see that many demons exist, but is written the demons just build false temples, and on earth, billion false temples are on earth with many Baals. On earth, in India and everywhere, many Baal temples exist with a monkey statue or Osiris statue or many Baal statues exist. Because the demons are creatures, and they want that on earth the people not worship the real creator, the God. The demons want that they always worship evil Baals, creatures who not belong to God, and they foolish the people. And many kind of temple exist, but no temple exists but God commanded to Moses. You cannot show me on earth one temple who is built as Moses was wrote in the Bible, as God Allah commanded. You will not find on earth one temple who belonged to God. Just mosques and bars and such buildings, cathedrals, but you will not find on earth one temple who is exactly this building what God Allah give to Moses, how it must be look like. And why? Because mentasic demons control the earth, and the mentasic people follow them to their own death. This is the problem, because on a holy man, no demon have power. On a holy man, no Satan and demons have power to foolish the holy man to worship a goat or Baals. A holy man is holy and worship a man who is God and not a God. This is what I want to tell you, that this new world system, when I judge America, I have to right to judge them, because America killed all the Jews and holy people in Holocaust, and now they build a big evil shit Yazabah system. And maybe Donald Trump read the Bible and touch the Bible, but Donald Trump was never with me. Donald Trump was never work 1 second or 1 hour for God of Israel who sent me. He just make a God shit. Why he not listen me? Because God showed me the third temple inside, also the 30 big building. I saw it exactly. And when they not want to listen God's temple, just worship mosques and false temples, demonistic Baal temples, nobody can tell them that they are religious. Nobody can tell it. Thank you.